What's up, guys? It's your host, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video, and today we have What If Issei Was Betrayed? Seeing the Trihexa's warning come to fruition, Issei decides to leave with some help of some friends he gained throughout his time and get back the time he lost. Finding new love, eventually the past comes back, and they need their weapon, or pillar, back for a new threat. Unfortunately, it won't be that easy. They cannot just bribe him. The perverted boy is gone. If they want his help, they'll have to earn it, and that is easier said than done. And this is the story of What If Issei Was Betrayed. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, or the first link in the premiere, or the first link in the description, or the first link at the top of the comment section. That'd be absolutely amazing. So that's pretty much that. And if at all possible, let's try to hit 500 likes for this brand new series. This is quite the banger story, I'm not going to lie. It is completed before anybody wants to get into that. And this story is also by SkimReader07. Very good. So let's go ahead and thank my balance breakers and my Juggernaut Drive members. Anthony Lewis, Brandon Lieutenant Riley, Dark Phoenix, Iki2000, Nogabuga Uda, Seraphal Leviathan, Night Ammo, Rob the King, Native Darkwood. Thank you so much for becoming a Balance Breaker / Juggernaut Drive member, which if you don't know, you get to see my uploads early, or you get to know when I upload before I actually upload. And without further ado, let's go ahead and thank my Patreon members, which is Smells Noise, Lachlan Yates, Godkiller, Idton, Mark Bacon, J Truly 2, and Logan Colhurt. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. I seriously can't thank you guys enough. As of why I was gone for so long, I don't think we need to get into all those details. I'm sure you guys just want to hear the story, especially probably for some of the new people that are or either returning as well. So basically, I'll just give you a quick summary. It was college. That's just about it. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into What If Issei Was Betrayed, Part 1. Chapter 1. Dawn had come to Tokyo as light crept into a home. A young man was waking up. Of course, he had to get someone's black hair out of the way as he had fallen asleep, nuzzling the person's head. His name is Issei Hyodo. He is known as the Red Dragon Emperor, before he was called the Opie Dragon, and the former hero of the factions. As why he was the former hero, well, it's because he left the supernatural behind. Sure, he had some friends, but still the only things that kept him linked to it was the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake, inside his sacred gear and swords that were mounted on the wall. These swords were Ascalon II, and the prototype of Ascalon II. They were bonded to him, so they did not leave him, but their appearances has changed. His familiar, Redimaro, roamed the dimensional gap, along with his surrogate father, Great Red, as he was gifted another new body by the dragon god, so he no longer held evil pieces inside him anymore. So, how did all of this come about? Let's go back to the celebration of the defeat of the Quinlipoth leader, Rizavim, Leviathan, Lucifer. Flashback. It had already been 2 months. After the battle against Rizavim and seeing the Beast of the Apocalypse tracks, everything was happiness and celebrations. But there was someone who was not happy. He was lost in thought for multiple reasons. A brunette looked down from the balances of the castle in the Mao Lucifer. He was alone, thinking, while his partner was looking out in disgust of what was transpiring. Issei's thoughts. Issei was fighting the Trihexa with the leaders in volley, utilizing Drake's boost and transfer abilities to power up the leaders in volley, while assisting volley in using the divide ability to try to diminish damage from the Trihexa's attack until everything became dark in his vision and could only see the Trihexa core in front of him. What is going on? Where are the others? Issei said. I don't know, Drake replied. It's only us, Red Dragon Emperor. The core spoke to him, which is the Trihexa. Trihexa? Trihexa, what do you want from us? Issei says. I just want to ask you something, the Trihexa says. And what is it? Issei replied. Why are they so important as to give your life, those beings who believe themselves superior to humans? They are not like that, and I'd give my life for them, my friends, my family, and my girls, Issei says. Then keep in mind, never trust anyone, or your own shadow, because one greatest pains comes from what you try to protect the most, Trihexa says. Everything was going back to normal. As the core disappeared, the Trihexa was being locked in the seal created by the Valkyrie Rosvisa. They needed time, so the gods, Maus, and their Parajas, the former Governor General Azazel, 3 of the 4 great seraphs, and those that were part of their decks, excluding their aces, along with the celestial dragons, took the beast from what that was needed for the seal to be activated. Now, back to reality. What do you mean by that, Trihexa? Issei says. I think I can see why. Look, Drake says. There was anger in the dragon's voice, and Issei turns his attention to his partner, Ment. Elsewhere, Rias was talking to a boy with light gray hair, dark gray eyes, and pale white skin, an acquaintance of the redhead, who looked for her after the day of the battle. It's nice to see you again, Devlin. Devlin was the younger brother of Deisher Bial, the former champion of the Raymond game. Both he and Rias had fascination of becoming champion as he looked up to his brother, but he did have an attraction towards the redhead. I'd say the same, Rias. When I found out you were in war, I looked for you like a madman to avoid being hurt. I didn't want the woman I loved to get hurt, Devlin says. Rias blushed at his statement and timidly spoke. Devlin, I love you too, but I have a commitment to Issei, looking at him sadly. Now, back with Issei. Are you kidding me? All those I love yous meant nothing? As he listened with the dragon's hearing, eyes becoming cold and empty. She used you. No, she used us. That spoiled brat! Growling in anger. Now, with Rias. Then leave that commitment and come with me. Our families will be recognized as the greatest and strongest of all, Devlin said. Rias thought about it without realizing she was taken by the waist and by Devlin, and his lips were on hers. Rather than pushing him away, she closed her eyes and placed her arms around Devlin's neck and reciprocating the kiss, not knowing that Issei saw it all and heard it all. Neither did the other girls who were her. Rias does not waste time. What Akeno said. But it was okay to do that. I mean, she is with Issei, Azia said. Now with Issei. She's still too innocent. Does she not know of being faithful? Some none, Issei says. Bow back to the girls. Maybe she was tired of his perverted attitude, and that's why she found someone who fits more of her taste, Zenovia said. What nonsense are you saying? No matter how perverted, Issei gave everything for us and protected us. Angry while watching the scene of Rias still kissing this demon, Rosvices says. I don't know about you, but I was getting tired of Issei's attitude, and he doesn't pay any attention to us. Akeno says, it's true, Bucho. Sometimes complain about the attitude of Issei-senpai, Konako also said. Now, with Issei. Seriously? She's an airhead. She literally tries jumping me like a whore in heat. And why didn't she just talk to me? Isn't that what couples are supposed to do? And not paying attention, they were ignoring me for no reason. So they think it's okay to cheat on me because of my former flaw. I got a list full of theirs, Issei says. Drake just glared at them with gem, green eyes, agreeing with his partner. Now with the girls again. I don't know about you, but if that's how things will be, I'm leaving. Walking away from the group, Rosvice did. Let her go, Irina says. She was trying to keep calm, but she did not like how they were mocking her childhood friend. You shouldn't be the one to judge Zenovia, Irina said. What do you mean, Irina? Zenovia replied. I can say confidently that I want Issei. Sure, his perversion may cause problems, but love is about overlooking one's flaws. I mean, Zenovia, you try to jump him in a locker room just to have his baby. If he was such a pervert, why didn't he go through with it? Same with you, Akeno. Didn't you try to force yourself upon him by taking him to the Love Hotel, Uranus says? That doesn't mean anything. Besides, there are other dragons like Vali and Sanji who are not as perverted, Zenovia says. Then it was nice knowing you, Irina replied, letting out a sigh and walking away from the group towards the other angels, saddened by her former friends. Irina knew the events because she took time to catch up with Issei. When he talked with her, he wasn't as perverted as they claimed. He was embarrassed by the events that she mentioned, as she wasn't ready for all that. Under all the perversion, there was a good man. Being an angel, she looked for the good in others. She did not see in the ones she called friends, especially her former partner. Well, if you all agree, then we'll look for another person who loves us and who is not perverted, Akeno says. Ha! Most spoke. As they were cheering, Ravel left in silence towards her clan. As they were talking, she was on the phone, handling some transactions before she sent out a text. Dear Issei-sama, I figured I should inform you of how the girls will cheat on you. The exception of being Rosvice and Irina-sama. I have sent you your shares of the Opie Dragon money and will shut down production. I am doing this because I figure that you deserve your happiness. Don't worry about me. This is my last act as your manager. Take care. Maybe one day we'll meet again. Love, Ravel. After sending the text, she let out a tired sigh. She was saddened by the conversation of the girls. Issei didn't deserve this. He was perverted, but her brother once was as well, so she was used to it. Everything all right? Coming to his sister, and seeing a sad look in her eyes, Riser did. Ravel simply just pointed in the direction of Rias. Rias looked at where she pointed, and his eyes widened in shock at Ria's making out with the younger brother of the BL heir. Turning back to his sister, he asked her a question with a serious gaze. "Does he say no?" Reiser said. "Yes, I just sent him a text, and it was not only her, but the others also plan to do the same, except Rosvisa and Irinisama. You did what you could. It gives you a chance to confess to him. He promised to protect you after all, but he did not expect tears to fall down his sister's eyes," Reiser said. "I know, but they were supposed to be my friends. Even if I confess, I don't think Issei-sama will want to be here. She'll just use him for her own goals of being a champion of the stupid raiding games." Becoming frustrated in reference to Issei still being Ria's pawn. "I guess you're right. Let's try not to think about that." Sitting down next to his sister, "Come here," opening his arms, let his sister cry into his chest before turning a glare towards his former fiancée. Now, back with Issei. "At least some people appreciate me." He finished reading Ravel's text. Issei said, "Issei, is that Great Red? You heard my request," Drake says. "Yes." "Issei, do you want to be free of your shackles?" Great Red said. "My shackles?" Then he remembered the pieces. He frowned, remembering he was still her pawn. "Yeah, there's a little left for me here, and it was a mistake to rejoin her again. I'm a dragon. I meant to live freely," Issei says. "Indeed," Drake replies. "Well, when you're done there, try to tap into the power inside of you to get to the dimensional gap. When you activate it, I can lock your entry and make sure that you are at our location," Great Red says. "Are?" Issei replied. "You forget that I have those 2 gothic lollies on me, and they are not happy. You better come and calm them down," Great Red says. "Right, I just need to check something out first," Issei replied. "Very well," Great Red said, as his voice no longer rumbled in Issei's mind. "What did you see?" Drake says. "Look," turning his gaze towards Sir Zex. They saw the Mao looking at his sister, rather being disappointed. He was smiling. "If that's your happiness, then I wish the best for you," continuing with the celebration, but he did not notice his wife glare in disappointment. Grafia looked towards Issei and noticed this glare in Sir Zex's direction, and made a mental note to check on him soon. "See, the Grammary clan is trash. Treat your servants as family. Guess they like to stab family in the back." As he also noticed Zactoidius and Velena gazing in awe at their daughter's display of romance. "You're right. So what are you going to do?" Drake says, as Issei pondered with his options. Now, with Rosvisa, she arrived at where Odin told him what happened to the girls, and he paid attention for once, but he was drunk. "It is a decision of the girls. I say you should do the same. Rosvisa, he is a boy. You need a man," Odin says. "So you send a boy to war? Since he survived, doesn't that make him a man now? Considering he fought alongside you against the beast. If not, then I guess all the men of Asgard are just boys." Glaring at the Nordic god, and leaving the place upset, she watched by the other gods, who nodded in approval of her words. "She's more than welcome in my faction," Zeus says. "The Red Dragon Emperor himself, a real woman. But I think we have overextended our stay in this alliance. If he goes, I go," leaving the Nordic leader in shock. But he felt the bad premonition coming, as the gods of Olympus walked away to another area of the celebration to talk amongst themselves, not wanting to be around someone with no honor. Other gods agreed with the Olympic god and moved away from the Nordic leader to ponder with his drink. Now, with Issei. "No point in going back to the party. Better go see my parents and leave this town." Seeing the other girls with different guys, the exception of those that defended him, and some were kissing their new lovers. "I agree." Issei turned to the voice to see his potential figure of his first girlfriend. "You came back to torment me, Rainier," Issei says. "No," as she glared at her former lover's her boyfriend. "But I do hate that I was right. Isn't this what you wanted?" Chuckling at her dissatisfaction. "Before I did. When you're dead, you got some time to think of how you expected to see a pumping baby in one and giving me the finger," Rainier said. Issei laughed in humor. "Yeah, that won't be happening," Issei says. "Whores will be whores, so what do you plan to do?" Rainier replied. "Well, going to talk with my parents about what happened. Leave Ko. Get my life back," shrugging his shoulders, only receiving a quizzical look from the dead fallen angel. "No losing your virginity or getting a new girl," Rainier said. "I'm not focused on that now." With a small smile, Issei had, "You're awfully happy for someone's getting cheated on." "Because they're not my problem anymore, and they won't be anymore," Issei said. "How cold of you, Issei-kun." With a wicked smile as her face, she turned towards him. "If only you had that attitude when we were dating, we probably would have before I killed you." She liked Issei's cold attitude to the girls. Thanks, but no thanks. It's been fun talking with you, but I gotta go. Maybe we'll do this again sometime, Issei replied. I'll always be right there, pointing at his heart, but I'm curious. You're going to speak with either of them, pointing towards Ravel, who had red eyes from crying, and covered over her brother's arms, and Irina, who was in Gabriel's arms, with her own sad face looking at her former friends. No, if I did, they would try to stop me, so I'll do it when I have an ample amount of time, Issei said. Damn, you definitely changed. Well then, I'll see you around as rain air begins to fade away. See ya. You're done talking with your dead girlfriend, Drake says. Yeah, let's go. As he prepared a magic circle to leave, this would be the last time that the Red Dragon Emperor would be seen by the factions for some time. But before leaving, he sensed a presence. Sorry, boy, but your perversion made you lose the people who loved you. Unaware, that's what Azazel said, unaware that Issei heard him as he leaves with his glass of wine to where Sir Zex was. But he didn't expect was a response. Then don't call for my help again, hypocritical crow. He was disgusted with the former leader, considering how the man bragged about his plethora of harems over his lifetime, while Issei did to collect girls for his pleasure like the fallen angel did. He did out of love, not lust. You said it, partner, Drake said, losing respect for the fallen angel. Azazel turned back to where Issei was and saw no one, but he felt a chill when he heard the cold voice of his former student. He looked back at the wine in his hand. Have I been drinking too much? Azazel said, turning back to where Issei once stood. Why do I have a feeling this is going to bite us in the ass? He let out a sigh and put the glass down. He needed to sober up a bit, and he sat down on the table where he was next to. You shouldn't have said that. Ah, pure mine. Care to join me, Azazel said, changing his tune and showing a cheeky smile to Chief, the secretary of the Gregor. Pyramid swiftly frowned, and she looked across the celebration before looking back at her former leader. No thanks. All I can say is that you shouldn't have said that. You have no right to judge for someone's sins without giving him any time to respond, and walked away from the former leader. I really hope this doesn't bite us in the ass, Azazel said to himself. Down in the glass, he got the same chill as if a bad omen was going to come. But what Issei did not know before is that he left. He had other supporters that valued him, who had their own thoughts on what was happening. As he was also seen by Shiva, who had been watching everything. He saw Issei's troubled expressions, while looking out to see the women that were supposed to be his girlfriends. With some kissing other men, he frowned and looked back at the Red Dragon Emperor, and that had left the party. May you find your peace, young Red Dragon Emperor, Shiva said. Chapter 2. The White Dragon Emperor gave a sneer in disgust at seeing the majority of his women of his rival with other men. They are also watched by his male teammates as well. They are rather shameless, wouldn't you agree? Arthur says. Seems like the Red Dragon Emperor has left. I'm not sensing his presence anymore, Byuko says. He has no reason to stay. Wouldn't surprise me if he leaves. The supernatural, Volley says. But he's the pillar of the Alliance, Arthur replies, a bit surprised by Volley's statement. Is he? He heard what Odin and Azazel said, seen what Sir Zex did about his sister. They made him out to be a jester because of his perversion, Volley said. I wouldn't be surprised if why he left. The Valkyrie is not here either. She seemed to have his side, Byuko replied. Not only her, the angel was in agreement. I don't know about the Phoenix girl, but she seems sad about something, most likely related to Hyodo, Volley replied. My sister talked with him and he understood. It was just a crush on her part, and he seemed to understand. He wasn't worried. I guess it's because he had other woman, but that doesn't seem to be the case, Arthur replied. Orpheus is going to be mad about this, and I'm glad that airhead didn't try to come up to me. No dragon is going to want her, Volley replied. Indeed, Albion replied, speaking inside of his partner's mind. Well, even if he leaves, I won't tell the factions of his whereabouts. If I find him, anyway, no point in here. I'm leaving. You guys can enjoy the party. Leaving his own magic circle, no longer interested in being there, Volley was. There seems to be no point in us being here, Arthur replies. Yeah, I wonder how Kuroka is going to handle her sister, Byuko says, pouting and thumbs Kuroka's direction, who seemed to be talking to another high-class demon. It's not our problem, Arthur replied, as he was looking at his sister who was talking to another magician. Guess you're right, Byuko said, shrugging his shoulders as the two left in another magic circle disinterested in the party. Now, with Irina. After talking with her former friends, she wanted to find some solace in her other angels. Good evening, Michael-sama and Gabriel-sama, Irina said. Hello, enjoying the party, Michael said, smiling at his ace as it was sister, who was speaking to prior. Before slumping down the chair, no, I'm not, Irina said. What's wrong? Sitting down next to young Angel. Your heart is sad. Did something happen? Gabriel said. Irina looked up and then back at where her friends were supposed to be, seeing them with other men. Rias now finished her make-out session with Devlin and talking to him lovingly. She felt anger in her heart at seeing the girls cast Issei aside. They never talked to him to understand how he felt. Look around, Irina, speaking curtly at the question. Gabriel sensed anger build up in Irina, but did as she was asked, and Michael and Grishilda, who were standing guard, they frowned at the other girl's actions. Could you explain why the girls are with other men? Gabriel said, still frowning at what she was seeing. Well, apparently, that guy knew Rias and came up to her, claiming his love for her. Apparently she loved him too. She didn't think of Issei's feelings, or didn't care about because she claimed how her engagement to him was like a prison. I thought she loved him, but I guess I was wrong. They complained about how Issei was too much of a pervert, but he shouldn't love about overlooking someone's flaws. You love the person all of them, not just parts of them. Clenching her fist, and some tears came out of her eyes, as if something Issei did nothing. Nobody's perfect. They then declared to find other men who weren't perverted and would pay attention to them. Because Issei wasn't, but they never made effort to talk to him. They practically ignored him. How's that fair? Now tears were streaming down as she began to shake slightly. The angels around her were shocked by what was said and saddened by the news, but Gabriel, who had been keeping track of Irina's heart as she spoke, noticed the feelings of love. Whenever Irina spoke his name, she realized that Irina indirectly confessed to loving Issei with how passionately she spoke and how the issue upset she was. I want to go home, Irina says. The angels were surprised by the request and figured she meant back to Ko. All right, we could send you back to Ko, Michael said. No, surprising them. I want to go back home, back to England. I don't want to be in the House of Devils. They don't care about others, Irina said. Michael, who was watching Trihexa and Azazel from afar, could understand Irina's reasons. All right, Grishilda, take her. We can collect your things from Ko later, Michael said. Grishilda sent a disappointing glare towards her ward, who was talking to some random devil, before leaving with Irina to her real name. What do you think will become of the Alliance if Issei were to see this? Gabriel said. Something tells me that the Alliance will be split. Zerzek's Neptuism blinds him. The needs of many outweigh the needs of a few, Michael says. I understand that. May we pray for this hard times ahead, Gabriel replies. Yes, but first, we should find Dulio and offer our farewells. Our best would be at the buffet table, causing Michael to have a sweat drop since he knows his Joker loved different cuisines. Yes, that would be a start, Michael said, as the two find the food of the loving angel. Now with Sona. Sona watched as her childhood friend cheat on her fiancé. No one did anything to stop it. She could only frown as she saw what was happening. She sat with her Parage, along with Sikavera and her queen, Olivian, the former Zemic dragon. Her pawn, Genshirun Sanji, was speaking with the dragon, with his own partner, Vitra, chiming in every now and then, again as they frowned at the girls of the Gremmery clan. Genshiro frowned at what Zenobia had said and spoke to Alavin about how he didn't understand how Issei loved such a person. He talked about how he had beaten his rival in something that was love, but was disappointed as it was bittersweet victory, because he did not feel that Issei deserved the treatment from the Gremmery clan, until they heard Olivian say something a bit surprising. It seems the Alliance can no longer depend on this Red Dragon Emperor for help, Olivian says. What do you mean, Olivian? Sikavera says, curious about her queen's statement. I was scanning for the Red Dragon Emperor. He was watching everything from the balcony, pointing at the balcony where Issei once stood, and because we, dragons, have acute hearing, he most likely heard the words of the blue-haired woman and the hybrid. I've been observing him. He seemed to be lost in thought and then angered, and he didn't raise his aura. He had a cold look in his eyes, and he just left. Sona let out a sigh. She understood that Issei would not want to be a part of the Alliance anymore. Then prepare his transcripts, Sona said, as he looked at her barrage, members with the exception of Tsubaki, who was dancing with Kiba, and she didn't want to ruin her night. What do you mean, Kyocho? I mean Sona-sama, Rikuro said, remembering that Sona had now graduated and no longer the student council president. As you can see, the woman that he loved abandoned him. Hyodo-san has no reason to stay in the Alliance nor be a part of the Gremmery clan anymore, Sona said. But what about the pawn pieces? Genshiro said. I'm sure we will find a way to remove them. or hide their signature so she cannot track them. If we send him his transcripts, he can transfer schools and carry out his education elsewhere without them flaunting in his face their new relationships. It will allow him to learn in peace. It's the least we can do for him. I also give you guys permission to leave your post on the council if you don't think Zenobia is capable of her job as president, Sona said. Hi, Sona-sama, featured the Parage. It took a little of them to getting used to calling her by name, rather than their titles, Kyocho, which she smiled at their praise, and she took out her phone to let Issei know what will happen. Good evening, Hyodo-san. I'm writing to inform you that we will send your transcripts so you may apply to other schools to continue your education. We have a feeling that you may not want to be in Ko. This is a thank you for what you've done for us. Enjoy your life and live free, Sona said. After sending the text, she turns to Genshiro. Sanji, you still have the keys to the student council office, huh? Sona says, yep. Sanji says, good. Let us go to the Hyodo-san and get his transcript so we can carry on his life. Sona says, understood. As he quickly gave a kiss to Rukuro, Momo, and Tsubasa and walked away with Sona to the hallway to leave the party and go to the student council office, prior to Sona's message with Issei. Issei had turned around to the mansion to find his parents sitting in the living room. Seeing a flash of a magic circle caused them to turn attention from the movie that they were watching to find their son. Issei, how was the celebration? Sorry we could not attend. It seemed a little too much for our old age, as she caught up from the couch to see her son, Miki said. As she got closer, she noticed the distant look in his eyes, and he seemed unresponsive. Issei? Issei, what's wrong? Drake, what's wrong with my son? Turning to her son's left arm, as the green gem formed his left hand. We found out that we are nothing more than gestures of the Alliance. Despite what we did, they only saw him for his perversion. Don't bother asking about the girls. They willingly cheated on the boy in front of everyone, and no one seemed to care. When they are known to be his partners throughout the supernatural world, they ridiculed him, not to his face. But we heard it all, Drake says. What about Zictodius? Surely he would have been disappointed in his daughter. And Valena? They kept talking about their engagement. Same with Sir Zex. He saw Issei as a younger brother. They didn't do anything? Did all the girls really do that? Miki said. And Goro said she could not fathom how the one she said as her daughters could do something like that. Those bastards did nothing. They smiled gleefully, as their daughter and sister made out with a weak fool, and an incompetent hybrid, said how they should find other partners that were not perverted and pay attention to them. When they ignored my partner, and never gave a damn about how he felt. And no, not all the girls agreed. The Valkyrie was mad at how they shamed him, and the angel said that love is about overlooking one's flaw and loving them for their defects. There was another, little blonde girl, not the nun. She gave us a portion of the money for the show that we did, Drake said. Oh, honey, Miki said, hugging her son, who reciprocated the hug. He was trembling in rage, but his mother's calmed him down a bit. What are you going to do? Well, first, I'm going to see the dragon gods. They may help me with getting these pieces out, so they don't find me. I was also thinking we could move somewhere else. I don't feel like this place is home anymore. Issei says, what about school? Goro said. He felt the buzz in his pocket and reached inside and pulled out his phone. Seeing what he had a text message from Sona and read the text, well, it seems the former president is sending over my transcript so I can apply for another institution, handing his phone to his father. Okay, this helps. Oh, we can change our last names as well. Make it a little harder for them to find us, Goro says. Good idea, Miki replied. So Issei, you go to the dragon gods while we look for a new place to live, and we begin packing tomorrow. Don't you think the other girls will come back? Goro said. No, it's summer vacation, so they'll probably stay in the underworld for some time. Hopefully when they get back, we'll be gone. They'll probably try to show you their boyfriends, Issei said. No matter who they are, those girls lost a good man, so you don't think about them. However, you should have the courtesy to say goodbye to your friends. Do you understand me, young man? Giving Herma a stern tone. Yes, ma'am, Issei replied. Good. Now go. We'll handle things here. As she stepped back from her son to give him space to activate his magic, Issei gave a nod, and with Drake's guidance, power tapped into the dragon gods, power in his body, and opened a portal to the dimensional gap and stepped through the portal as it closed behind him. I think I know where we can go, Goro said. Where's that? Tokyo, it's heavily populated, so they wouldn't find us so easily. Plus, it's advanced in technology, so you could have a state-in-the-art kitchen. I know you always wanted that, Garo said. That is a good idea. Let's quickly look for a place, then we can book a hotel, and then our things in the storage. Until we have a house, maybe two. After all, Issei will need his own place, unless you want to hear him getting it on in the other room, Mickey said, or shivered at the thought, but then remembered what she said and how he remembered the story of Rainier from Issei and from the girls, so he had to ask, you think he'll open his heart again? Goro said, speaking somberly. Of course, you heard what Drake said. We still have a few daughter-in-laws. We just have to have faith. You're right. Let's get some rest. At least we have a destination turning off the movie, and that's as he was watching his wife head to their room to get some rest and begin the start of their new adventure. Now, with Issei. When he stepped through the portal, he felt and landed on something hard. Looking down, he saw what he landed on was red. Hello, Dreg, Issei. Issei looked up to me by the two girls. They look alike, but no one had a ponytail and had dark brown eyes. Orphis, Lilith, that means... Hello, hatchling, Great Red said. Great Red! Drake, let's make this quick. I understand. As the boosted gear was activated and he fell unconscious. When he came to, he noticed that he was in the back of the room the old carriers used to be looking up. He saw his partner, relatively calm. Drake, what's going on? Relax. The procedure has begun. Since you're not in life-threatening danger like before, they begin to work on it before you came through, so they had more time with this one, Drake says. From before. Wait, oh, you mean a new body. That was the solution you came up with? That's right, but this one will be better. But remember that when you have this kind of a rush job, since your soul was in danger, technically you are dead again, as your soul is in the boosted gear. While the procedure goes on, the bright side is that if the factions try to search for the boosted gear, they will believe it has gone to a new user. You know, in case they try to kill you and get my power. We've already seen how spoiled the Gremory clan is because of her Harris, Drake says. What about the others on my side? Shouldn't they know that I'm alive and not dead? Issei says. Didn't you hear your mother? You're going to tell them. Now I'm going to sleep. I'll let you know when it's done. Besides, someone wants to talk with you. As the dragon moved away, leaving Issei alone. Well, guess I'll wait. Taking his seat, that was about to close his eyes until he heard a familiar voice. You're not about to fall asleep on me, are you? Rainier says. Ah, damn it. Issei said, you can't leave me alone. Someday, but not now. She took a seat next to him. Besides, I told you I would always be here. Once again, pointing to his heart. What do you want that you couldn't say before? Frowning at her presence. Oh, there's a lot of things we can talk about, but let's start with something simple. If the Gremory was calling for you back right now, would you go back to her? No, she made her choice. Issei said, oh, no hesitation? So you tell me, why did you hesitate to tell her to kill me? Did you have some lingering feelings for me? Issei simply let out a sigh. Rainier, you were my first girlfriend, so yeah. There were some sentimental feelings then, and you were my first lesson in loving someone, but I'm not the same pervert or person you once met. I can tell. You haven't looked at my outfit, nor checked out my body. And you even wore this to add sentimental value. After all, it was what I wore for our date, standing up to show office. The outfit, however, because the clothes were made for a younger body, her more mature form of the outfit to show a little off her legs and her bust stretched the fabric of her little top a little more. Issei remained unfazed. He would admit there that she was a beautiful woman, but that was only physically. But not on an emotional level that he was looking for now, an emotional connection to open his heart again. He thought he had that with Rias and the others, but looking back, seeing how they did not care of how he felt, it wasn't as emotional as he thought. I knew it, Rainier says, snapping at Issei out of his thoughts. Knew what? You changed. Damn, maybe I shouldn't have killed you and kept observing you instead, Rainier said. As if that would have made a difference, Issei replied. I mean, you wouldn't have met me, so you wouldn't have known how I act. You would have been my objective as continue playing hard to get. I like this new Issei. Pity, I will miss your ending, Rainier said. What's that supposed to mean? Issei replied, thinking she was expecting him to die. I'm rooting for you, Issei, causing Issei's eyes to widen in shock. I want you to prove them all wrong. You proved me wrong. They proved me right. Just show up to them. As she walked in front of him and began to lean close to his face, she expected him to lean back as she got closer, but he didn't. He stood his ground. So should I appreciate your vote of confidence? He didn't really care about what she had to say. Yeah, you should. They'll come crawling back to you like bitches they are. They've already proven me right before, and they'll do it again. How did I prove you wrong? Figuring to change the subject, Issei did. I didn't think that someone would love a pervert. Or did you forget? You still got some women out there, Rainier says. Looking away in thought about the woman she was referring to. I'll be seeing you around, Issei. Standing up, moving her face away, from beginning to walk away, disappearing now, and will come again, just to toy with his head. She disappeared. Dreg appeared again. Have fun? I thought you were asleep, which caused his partner to laugh. Well, it's time, and I must say there are some differences. Like what? Well, you look slightly older and got a little more of a growth spurt, Drake says. I see. I'm amazed that a dead fallen didn't ride your bones. She was trying to show you her new look. If you looked into her eyes, you would have noticed the change, but you looked away, Drake says. Oh? Issei replied. Well, she liked what she saw. I'm sure the other woman would too, but for now, time to wake up, Drake says. Issei began to feel himself and get pushed out of the boosted gear, and woke up. Looking down, he saw that he had black pants and red shoes. Hello, Issei, Orpheus says. Looking to his right, he saw Orpheus staring back at him with her usual emotional stare. What happened to me, Issei said. We improved your body, see? Pointing at Issei's bare chest. Issei looked down to see a slight shimmer of his body as he was covered with scales. You noticed it. Your skin is now as hard as dragon scales, or rather baka bread scales, so your defense is pretty high, unlike your last body. But don't worry, it still feels like human skin, so you won't scratch anyone who rubs you. Lilith got this for you, Oni-chan, handing a black baggy short sleeve jacket with gold trim and some metal pieces on his shoulders, but there was red and black sleeve attached to the right sleeve of the jacket. Thank you, Lilith, Issei replied as he stood up and put the jacket on. He noticed that the shoes he's wearing felt heavier and noticed some metal around outside of the shoe. How do you feel, hatchling? Great Red said. Issei stretched a little, feeling out his muscles. He felt good, leaner, and still compact with muscle. I feel amazing, a bit lighter, as if I don't have a weight on me, even throwing some punches in front of him. Here, Oni-chan, Lilith said, handing him some black gloves with baggy cuffs, and thin red metal on the cuffs, rested where the back of his hands would be. Thanks again, Lilith-chan. Smiling down at the little dragon rubbing her head, which caused her to generate a small smile. We took these from your old body, holding out our hands from Issei to see the 8 pawn pieces. We wanted to make sure that they weren't bonded to you when we transported your soul into the boosted gear to this body. Thanks. How do you feel, Drake? I feel great, but for now, I'm going to rest, Drake said. As usual, he got down on one knee and pulled Orpheus and Lilith into a hug. Thank you, as both their heads were both on their shoulders. Since neither had felt such affection before, they didn't know how to react, but they knew it felt nice. Issei released them from the hug and then got up on his knee. Thank you, Great Red. I feel much closer to freedom. No worries, hatchling, but try not to damage that body so much. I don't know if I can make another one. That's my best one yet, Great Red says. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Oh, I wanted to let you know that I'll be moving to a new place soon, Issei said. Don't worry, Lilith gave part of her energy so Lilith will know where Oni-chan is, Lilith said. I'm sure you will, but for now, you two rest well. You've done enough. For now, and if you want, you can go to Kyoto and play with some Kyono-san, but she wasn't at the party, neither was Yakuza, so I'm quite neutral on them. Oh, I'll need these, taking pieces from Orpheus' hands, so by the time I'm gone, they won't be able to find me. I'll see you guys around, as he stepped through a portal and waved goodbye as the two lollies, who waved back at the portal closed. Well now, let's see what they did to my face. As he walked to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, he was shocked. He looked slightly older, and his hair was a little more wild. Not bad. I'm impressed. Yeah, I can work with that. Hopefully my parents don't freak out too much. With that, he walked out of the bathroom, turning off the lights, placing it on the desk in the jacket, and the shoes off and getting into bed. Tomorrow's going to be a new adventure. As he laid with his arms crossed behind his head and closing his eyes, feeling as much as he was no longer felt tied to the Gregory Harris. All that remained was leaving his house, and then he would be free, as he would no longer have listened to them. He could do what he wanted now. He couldn't believe that he was actually looking forward to packing and couldn't wait to know what his parents decided as sleep took over. That is the end of the flashback. To be continued, and that is the end of Chapter 2. That is where we're going to end for now. Before you leave, please hit the like button once again. Let's try to hit 500 likes. This is either going to be coming out or 7 at 8 p.m., I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoy everything that's been going on. You know? It was a pretty good story to read. This is a little bit more like Issei being solo than Issei, Betrayed, but it technically is Issei Betrayed as well, so I'm going to keep the title. This is a pretty good revamp, really good story, really, really long story as well. It's a good 20-hour session. So thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, if at all possible, this definitely is my birthday video, so if you would like to become a channel member, that'd be absolutely banger. Of course, you don't have to, but if you want to know when I upload my upload schedule, go ahead and click the little blue button. The first link in the description, the first link in the comment section. You get what I'm saying, etc. But yeah, I've been gone for a while, Hopefully you guys have been enjoying yourselves, because I've been alright, Some ups and downs, but, we move in life. Thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. Spartanic Arts, DXD, out.